There's something in your experience that is very, very settled. Now, the more superficial aspect of our experience, or let's say the mental aspect, varies quite a bit. There are times when it feels like the currents of thought, the swirls and eddies of imagination and mind identification and internal narrative are never ending. And there are times when the mind is relatively calm. There are times when we're physically engaged in life or immersed in life in such a way that we quiet the mind. There are times when we feel more present. There are times when we feel less present. But regardless of any of these variations in the textures of experience, there's something that's extremely settled, something that doesn't move, something that doesn't have to move, something that does not need to be spoken about, something that doesn't need to be accessed because you've never been apart, never been out of contact. This isn't a thing or a concept, so there's no reason to think about it or try to guess what I'm talking about as an object of mind. That's more mental activity. This is far more primary to the experiencing, or to the experiencing of you, or to the experiencing of mere appearance, the textures of presence, however that plays out for you, or however that appears for you. But this is the most fundamental, such that in any way you can detect it, you might even say it's not even there. But that doesn't mean it's not there. It means you can't detect it as such. You can't make it an object of mind. You can't look at it and call it something. And yet, it is there. It is here. Always here. It's eternally settled. Eternally still, eternally unmoving. Eternally means not in time, not bound by the illusion of time, the mental construct of time. So it always simply is. I think in the Bible, there's a quote by Christ that says, "Before Abraham was, I am." That's a pretty profound statement. That the sense of I am, at least in this statement, or let's just say the sense of pure presence, unfiltered, unconditioned presence, is not subject to time. It's not subject to the distant past. It's not subject to the distant future. It's too real for that. Perhaps we could say it's too obvious. So how do you find this in your experience? Well, as the unbinding of identity occurs, as it unfolds over time, this comes forward in your experience more and more, such that there's no need to look for it. You live it, or life lives this. Truth, in all manners, all places, all times. And also, you can remind yourself, or be reminded, like listening to something like this. There are practices that help cut off the mind road. Inquiry, prolonged meditation, contemplating certain potent verses or stanzas. Sometimes you find what works for you, that one phrase that leads you back to this immediacy, this unquestionable presence, this unquestionable knowing outside of space and time. So for a while, it'll feel as if practices are necessary to remind you, or to remind you to stop the mind, meaning stop remembering the illusions of the past and future. Stop remembering the illusions of your problems and your solutions. That reminder can come in many forms. But the commitment to remind yourself until it's very obviously come forward in your life, unquestionably, without doubt, is valuable. It's valuable to make that commitment, to make that intention. And bring the dimensionless dimension into your experience, whenever and wherever it feels natural to do so. And at some point, there's nothing left that can be outside of it. There's nothing left that can be bound in time or space. There's nothing left that could be at a distance. There's nothing left that could be inside or outside. There's nothing left. Nothing left of the illusion. And then even illusion loses meaning. There's no way to find illusion or delusion anymore. This is to be profoundly settled. Rather, it's to see that everything that is and is not is already profoundly settled and could not be other. This is peace. This is freedom. And it's your birthright. The road can be uncomfortable, for sure. It can also be very surprising, and it will put you into spaces that are unfamiliar to you. That may be the biggest challenge of all. It may not seem like a challenge, but when you really start to come to the edge of your identity and you feel what's truly unfamiliar, at least from the aspect of the identity or from the perspective of the identity, it can be surprisingly daunting. But you can penetrate that veil. Many have, and many more will. So take up the challenge, the ultimate journey, the journey beyond the world of journeys. And then you'll know this place of being eternally settled.